Nations like Nigeria are always confronted with challenges, especially that of huge waste generated by our citizens. How is the country tackling this menace? Join me as we explore waste management in Nigeria. My name is Nneka Michael. There are warnings that urban migration, culminating to population increase and waste, impact negatively on the society. There is need to do something in order to arrest any ugly development. Let's take this feature.
Rapid population is already exerting influence on numerous activities in the society. According to the United Nations Habitat Watch, African city population will more than triple over the next 40 years. This projection is not only worrisome, but it speaks volume of the multiply effects of a huge population, among which are waste. Wastes are of various types, such as solid waste, hazard waste, wastewater, e-waste, and others. In cities like Abuja and Lagos, solid wastes are more in volume because of the huge household population. Indiscriminate dumping of waste is strictly prohibited and offenders penalized. However, waste disposal is harmful to human lives, especially to persons with disabilities whose movements are hindered. This group of persons find it difficult to access their ways once wastes are littered in the environment. Having waste in the environment distorts the aesthetics of an area, sometimes creating human and vehicular obstruction. Non-degradable waste affects soil fertility and agricultural productivity, hence loss to the farmer. In Nigeria, the main diseases of the environment are diarrhea, cholera, malaria, and lower respiratory diseases. These diseases emanate from the waste generated by people and contracted through unsafe and air pollution. Improper waste disposal leads to environmental pollution that accounts for 1/3 of the diseases that affect children under age 5. And it is also said that more than 2.4 billion people in the world currently lack access to adequate sanitation, which is also attributed to wastes that are littered in our environment. Unfortunately, due to this inadequacy, many people are forced to dispose of their excreta in unimproved and unsanitary conditions, and if not handled on time, waste can lead to a pandemic that may affect the economy and other profitable institutions in the country. There are a number of challenges facing waste management, some of which are lack of scientific treatment procedure of waste, improper collection of waste, failure to adhere to ethics that would forestall environmental degradation, water pollution, including air pollution. As the nation strives towards containing other forms of diseases like the COVID-19, all stakeholders must strive assiduously towards a pleasant environment that promotes healthy living and a hazardous-free life.
In Nigeria, clean environment is fast taking shape with waste-to-wealth innovation. Let's see how it is done.
Big cities are no longer what people think about them, especially with their huge population. The Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, which comes to mind, with about 3.5 million populations, is expected to rise due to the influx of people into the city. Incidentally, the city is expected to experience increase in consumer spending on household and industrial items. Some of the household items after use become waste. However, these waste are not just mere waste, but resources that can be recycled into primary products for onward use. This explanation best describes waste to wealth, a new form of waste management that is reducing waste in our environment. Rita Idehai is an environmentalist who sees wealth in the waste that is littered everywhere.
First, it was more about the opportunity and then the need to actually go green, because we had this whole UN SDG, and it was important. They told us about the importance of environmental sustainability and what was actually currently happening. So it was just a call for me to do something in my environment and look for ways to be better.
According to reports, Nigeria is the largest producer of waste in Africa. The country generates more than 32 million tons of solid waste annually, out of which only 20 to 30% is collected.
The organic matter make about over 50%, but those things can be turned into either biogas or compost right in your house to generate energy. So when they see the value coming from plastics or plastic bags, they start to think of innovative ways to solve other problems. So invariably, we are reducing and we are even encouraging people and changing mindsets towards the attitude to waste.
Items such as water can, sachet water, nylon of various types, as well as other household waste are collected, cleansed and processed into bags, mats and numerous products, just to mention but a few. There is no doubt that through the revolution, Nigeria with its huge population is already bringing efficiency gains and technology innovation as stipulated in the Sustainable Development Goal 11. The Waste to Wealth venture has also become a means of entrepreneurship to Nigerians who try to make ends meet.
We have some women that have been living and sustaining themselves with this. So it is a viable means of living.
Although a great deal of time, energy and resources are required to collecting and fabricating some of these items, coupled with the fact that it is characterized with manual efforts.
The first one that we do is have independent ops. So we have young people come to us and say that we have a community and there's no recycling initiative there. So we empower them, we give them bags, we give them weighing scale to collect waste material in their community. The second thing is we now have recycling cages in some semi-public places. So we have here in Kuje, and then we're working with in town to put some more in town so that people can just drop their recyclable waste. Then we run door-to-door collection where people request for pickup and then we go to them. We leverage on the network of waste workers that are ready everywhere in Nigeria to recover more. So we buy back from them and offer them other social services like PPE materials.
With Nigeria's rising population and abundant waste, the sun looks set for Rita Idehai and others who would want to take advantage of this golden opportunity. And for the Nigerian youth who aspire to be self-employed, the future is already bright.
Wonderful! Environmental sustainability means a lot in Nigeria. Let's take a moment for a break. When we come back, we'll focus on medical and liquid waste disposal in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory. You're welcome back. There is more emphasis on the disposal of medical waste, more so with the COVID-19 issues around us, as the focus is on the handling, collection, disposal of masks, lab equipment, among others, so as to avoid the spread of virus. In this interview, we'll learn what happens to these items after use.
Proper waste management that leads to a clean environment requires an inclusive approach and political will to manage residents and service providers who are both stakeholders in maintaining a conducive environment in the FCT. This begins with the collection of waste from residents so as to decongest the environment from being littered with waste.
We have 40 concession areas, that is 40 lots. We have 40 contractors that are working in the designated districts, within designated districts, to ensure that the city is absolutely free of solid waste.
Besides the negative impacts of waste on individuals' health, as well as increased pollution on air, land and water, ineffective and inefficient waste management will result in greenhouse gases and toxic emissions. Although the act of littering waste on the road is an offense that is repeatedly committed by people who are unaware of the areas of danger caused by waste. In this regard, the need to create awareness and educate the people on how to handle waste becomes relevant.
We need to educate our people so much that they now inculcate the habit of putting papers separately, putting PET bottles separately, putting tins separately. Sorting means food waste separately, so that all these components go separately to the dump site.
Biomedical waste, nonetheless, is given a unique priority in Nigeria because of what it contains. The objective is currently on how to ensure safe disposal of biomedical waste generated in hospitals and homes of patients affected.
Certainly, the NCDC has a guidelines on medical waste, particularly the COVID-19 medical waste. At all the centers where both the isolation and where the patients are being kept, there is a proper waste segregation, and also the medical waste are also separated separately as well as the domestic waste, and they are all incinerated. There's an incineration plants in all the locations to ensure that these wastes do not go out. So they are properly being managed, and then the staff are well kitted, well trained to ensure that medical waste are properly disposed of. Not only the COVID-19, even the hospitals and clinics, we have a structure on ground for their waste, that is the medical waste, to be incinerated. We have an incineration plant at our dump site at Gosa, and also there's incineration plants in some of the hospitals, as well as those that do not have. Also now they have incineration plant at the National Hospital, particularly the medical waste. These are the sharps, the sensitive medical waste, apart from the food waste. So these are all going to be, particularly those ones are even in the other hospitals, are going to be properly incinerated. But for the COVID-19 means it's properly being managed in a proper way by the Health and Human Services together with Abuja Environmental Protection Board. We ensure that these things are kept and maintained as enunciated by the NCDC guidelines.
Due to the sensitive nature of biomedical waste, we hope that the other area councils will prioritize it so as to minimize contact of the virus on health and the environment.
Glad to know that medical organizations have keyed into proper waste management. The Nigerian Federal Capital Territory is one of the thriving cities in the world, fit for any international event. For years, the FCT has maintained clean sewage system. So, what is it like?
Liquid waste is a harmful substance that is not fit for human lives. It is a waste that is generated from the toilet, bathroom, and other domestic activities. Also, it can mar the beauty and standard of any city if not properly managed. According to UNDP and UN Habitat, 90% of all wastewater generated is released into the environment untreated. This action poses a huge threat to sustainable development and healthy living. Abuja, one of the cities in Nigeria, is among the few countries in sub-Saharan Africa with wastewater treatment plants. At a time when its population is increasing at about 6%, the nation's federal capital has consistently maintained a hazardous-free environment. Each sewage system in the city is connected to a central trunk that conveys sewage waste to a central treatment plant.
This is the biggest sewage treatment plant that we have in the FCT. It collects sewage from phases 1, 2, and part of phase 3 of the FCC rather. Phase 1 will be the older districts, Garki 1, 2, Wuse 1, 2, Maitama, Asokoro. Phases 2 will be the newer districts like Guzape, Katampe, Uye, and then phases 3 are the new ones we are developing. It runs basically on biological system. There's no chemical treatment at all. What it means is that these basins that you're looking at, they are bioactive. So you have bacteria in there, and this represents the biological treatment of the wastewater. To your left over there, you have the mechanical treatment, removing sand, paper, all those kind of things.
At this point, the waste has been decontaminated but still requires another final process.
At biological stage, there is what we call the decomposition of organic waste. This decomposition is actually done by the action of the microorganisms that is in the basin. We have what we call the mammoth rotor. The surface aerator introduces oxygen into the bioreactor. Then the microorganism makes use of this oxygen, then decompose the organic waste that is actually coming through the sewage. When we are talking about BOD removal, is the composition of the BOD, biochemical oxygen demand, which is organic. When the microorganisms decompose organic waste, which is of a multiple carbon chain, then it's going to be splitted into simpler form, whereby we have what we call the new set of microorganisms, then the CO2, that is carbon dioxide, then the clean water. This clean water flows down to this point. So this point receives the clean water, the bio-treated water is already here. Then before we allow this to get into the environment, it has to be disinfected. That is the essence of the ultraviolet light. That is the essence, and this ultraviolet light is right here. That is the essence of this station. So down there we have the effluent, where the effluent is actually going into the environment.
Also at this stage, what has been discharged to the public is no longer waste, but clean water that can be used for non-domestic purposes. But before discharge, the water must meet the World Health Organization water discharge standard. The water that is discharged has been of immense benefit for numerous purposes, such as agriculture. It is said that if applied in crops, it will produce high yield for consumption and profit making. Some other remarkable benefits of the plant is that it has capacity to accommodate more waste even as population increases. This magnificent liquid water treatment plant in FCT can be found in few African countries as well as developed countries in the world. What matters now is how this plant can be expanded with additional facilities to recycle some of the contaminants for renewable energy source that will be used by Nigerians and FCT residents.
This facility is being established in other areas for better environmental sustainability. This is how far we can go on what matters today. Stay tuned for this great innovation on waste to wealth.
Goal 6 of the Sustainable Development Goal, which aims at ensuring access to water and sanitation for all, is already receiving attention in Nigeria. The global goal has been demonstrated by building a 3-room toilet with plastic water bottles.
In 2018, in preparation for the World Environment Day, to be precise, that's 5th of June, the theme for that year, 2018, was beat plastic pollution. So we thought beyond just beating plastic pollution, we should now make that a project. So we now made it a project where we facilitate young people to collect plastic bottles and bring them to us.
The toilet, which is located at LEA Primary School at Chusa, Makurdi, Benue State, is the first of its kind in Nigeria.
We filled those bottles with sand, sharp sand, and in doing that, we now call the bottles that are filled with those sand or any other material, any material that is not in use, we call that eco brick. So eco brick was now used for the construction process. And beyond that, we had our cement, we had our bricks, we had other building materials like the normal construction you can have.
Apart from reducing plastic in the environment, the 3-room toilet also serves as a means of comfort to the female students in the school.
The project also sought to achieve SDG goal 6 because we constructed the toilet, and then having a toilet in a school was to put an end to open defecation.
In terms of durability, it is said that the eco toilet can last hundreds of years longer than the block toilet, and with the abundance of material, it will soon become the desire of the people.